we could drastically, majorly change the turnout of the election if we all collectively came together and did it.
Hijack
Is
the
it
vote.
possible? I don't know about hijack. You know that's the other side likes to use that term. I do not want to be associated with that one. But I do think that if we organize our power and we come together collectively, we shift it and change.
You gonna charge him, give him life, give everybody life.
We need to make sure that we have that.
All right, y'all. Well, we live. Yes. With the Say Something Show, episode 3. We're super excited to. I'm feeling good, bro.
Yeah.
Just kicked off the 56th annual Freedom Fund Gala and Awards.
Yep. That
jumping.
was amazing.
It was.
Got to see some pretty exciting people. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like you said, welcome to episode 3. Right now, I have my co-host
Kareem Scales. Excited to be here. We
Yeah.
have some amazing guests with us today from the NAACP. Go ahead and introduce yourselves. We're excited to have you all today.
I'm Kyra Boykin-Towns, Vice Chairman of the NAACP National Board of Directors, and thrilled to be in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Karen.
And I am Kyra Mitchell, President for the Michigan State Conference Youth and College Division and Region 3 Youth Board Member on the National Board of Directors.
Multiple titles.
Yes. We want to thank you guys for being here, honestly. And so, Rain, man, what we going to talk about today, man? Let them know.
We got a lot to talk about. I think we're in a key time right now. We were 16 days away from the election, so I think we got a lot of things to touch on.
Yes.
Go ahead and kick us off, man. Where do you think? Where should we start?
No, that's right there. And then, what do you guys think about elections coming up? What is on our radar? What's important? What do we need?
Before
to
we
touch
do
on?
that, let's introduce our brother.
Oh, facts. Oh, so sorry. Actually,
good
before we
brother.
jump in, right,
Mr. Carlton Mayers.
our third guest.
Yes.
Oh, well, very happy to be here. Name is Carlton Mayers, and I guess I'm a public safety policing reform expert. So
That's
very
what he
happy to be here.
guesses.
That's the role that I'm going to say right now.
One of his many hats. Perfect. So yeah, let's just jump right in. I think it'd be appropriate to kind of just start off with kind of recapping the event from last night and how things were and how that connects to where we're going with the election a few days away. So what do you all think about the event last night? I thought it was a great turnout, about 750 people in attendance.
I didn't even know that, actually. That's actually crazy.
It was great.
Is that a record number type of thing?
Yeah,
Or?
I think 2019 we were a little closer to 800.
Okay.
But it's still COVID, so.
Right,
Still COVID,
Right.
yeah.
We're really still in a pandemic for sure. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. We had
The
an
real
amazing.
question is, what was the meal, though?
Ooh.
So give us you didn't get to eat, did you?
Well,
Right, actually.
I will say the salad was on point.
Okay.
The salad was good.
The salad was
Dessert
good.
was good too. I don't know if you had the
was kinda
dessert.
cool.
Okay.
I think it said like a buttermilk fried chicken with some, but I will just say the event was fabulous.
Okay, let's go.
The honorees were amazing.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
they were. Okay. No,
So we got a lot at stake leading into this election. Obviously, we know abortion is on the ballot. We got a lot of different issues. We got some voter suppression. I think this is our first election from the redistricting. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of changes there. What do you all think? What's our, I guess, key priority for our community leading into this election?
I think, and certainly I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
And so our politics are our politics and everything is local. But I think across the board, what is key is that we turn out black voters, black and brown voters across the country. That is what we know will be the determining factor in terms of us, getting people into office that will represent the issues of importance to us. In 2020, we did that then,
Yes,
right?
we did that.
Came out in a way that was unexpected. It was historic, and we just got to keep up that energy.
You're right.
And what I'll add to that, too, is I think, on top of turning people out, we need to turn out educated voters.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of times, especially within the black community, we vote for like names we recognize. We're like, oh, this person's black, so I'm going to vote for them. And in Michigan specifically, we have a candidate.
Talk that
Grand
talk.
Rapids,
Yeah.
Go.
That's right.
nonpartisan, of course,
Right.
is a black person that is running, but does not stand in support of any issues that we are.
Exactly.
So if they go to the, like, I had friends in the election when he was running for governor, and they were like, yeah, I'm gonna vote for him because he's black. And I was like,
Sir.
please don't.
No.
Please,
Excuse me.
let's
Yeah.
go through your ballot and let's let's run through who you should be voting for, because that's not going to be the best choice. So I think making sure that we're informing people, especially around the proposals, the language can be really confusing sometimes. And I think they do that intentionally. So making sure people, they may be thinking they're voting one way, but are actually doing the opposite. So just making sure that they know and they go in there prepared, because the best thing you can be is a prepared voter.
That's for sure.
That's
In the
amazing.
back of the ballot, right? Not just the front.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
You touching on something really key, Kyra. How do we keep our young adults engaged, right, and inspired to even be a part of this process? A lot of people say, I'm sure we've all heard it, why
should I
why
vote?
do I even vote?
Yeah. Why?
You know,
yeah.
my
why do I
quality
need
of
to?
life hasn't changed since the last time we had an election. What do you all say to those people?
I turn out the facts and the numbers, especially when we look at 2016. I think Trump's election and winning of Michigan being a swing state, we really do go back and forth. And depending on what side of the state you're on, like the west side of the state is very red.
For sure.
Or like Detroit, Saginaw, Flint tend to be very blue. So I think turning that out. And in 2016, I don't remember the exact number, but I think it was like in the city of Detroit alone, if like 5,000 black voters would have turned out, Michigan would have voted for Hillary instead. So it's like just in that one city, if that's what it looked like, I turn out those facts to be like, you keep saying your vote doesn't matter, but like if you were one of the 5,000 that turned out, like we could have changed the result.
Yeah.
And though our electoral college votes could have went somewhere, in 2016's election could have turned out a whole different way. And that's just looking at one city. That's not considering Grand Rapids, Saginaw, Flint, these cities that have large black populations. That's just Detroit alone, right? So using that historical fact, but then also bringing in that this year is really focused more so on our state elections, right? These are the people who are going to impact your day-to-day life, right? Federal government and things like that, every single election matters, right? But day-to-day, we're not going to see a lot of huge impacts from the president and things like that. But your governor,
Your local
you're gonna
elections.
see it. You're going to see
going
your
to
school
see it.
board, your all these other things, your police commissioners and all these other things, like they're going to impact day to day. You're getting ready to graduate out of high school. Like if you're a parent or you have kids in the school system, you need to vote for your school board because they're determining what's going to happen to your child. Like they're impacting you, they're impacting future generations. If anything, I push more so on this one and really just educate them on like the importance of this election and how it's impacting their day to day life while using historical numbers and facts to really show them.
That's important. That's important for real, because a lot of people don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? People just love going to the presidential and voting, but you know what I'm saying, not really knowing what or how impactful this midterms can be. So that's true.
So what are some of the things you all think? I guess let's take it from a broader perspective, Karen. I want to throw this one to you from a national lens. How do we really engage our audience, right, and really get them fired up to turn out?
Yeah, I think it's hard in the sense that people feel like they came out to vote, but nothing has changed, right? The eggs are now $5.29. You know, the milk has gone, everything is too damn high.
No, for sure.
And so they're wondering, like, what does it matter?
Yeah.
And the thing is, in my opinion, is that we got to step back to how it was and what it can be. So last night's theme was imagine.
For sure.
Right? It was about imagine. And imagine if we got fed up to the point where we did what we had to do consistently. Because ultimately, this is not how it has to be. It is because there are people in control that, make decisions. And if we don't like those decisions, we can change the people to change the decisions. I think sometimes we feel like, oh, this is just put upon us. But as I said last night in the movie The Woman King, when the king said, imagine if our possibilities are unlimitless if we understood our power. And I don't think people understand the power that we have. And obviously it is a lot, because if we didn't have the power, they would not be working so hard to take it away. Right? And so we just got to understand because they get it and they are working to try and impact our power every day, and we just can't give up.
Love it. No, I love it. Speaking of,
Sorry about that.
no, you're fine.
Go ahead, bro.
Speaking of power, we talked about Women King and whatnot. I want to touch on, your guys' like adversity when it comes to being a woman in your roles, being a woman,
Oh, Kyra, here we
yeah. I want to get to that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Like,
thought
what
we
have-
wasn't gonna go there too. Yeah.
What have you guys, because it might not be as highlighted in the forefront, and so what have you guys been through as far as adversity? When it comes to just what do you guys do now?
Well, we could spend several hours.
Of course,
talking
yeah, that
about-
wasn't a broad, yeah.
Talking about, hashtag Black Women Are Supreme, right?
Right.
I loved that campaign that we came up with in support of Ketanji Brown Jackson becoming the U.S. A member of the U.S. Supreme Court. But I think it resonated in ways that everyone could feel, right? Because as a Black woman, what was the saying that we are the most unprotected group around, and a lot of times it feels that way when you see certain things that happen. And we love when our Black men stand up to join us on the issues of importance. But my cousin April Ryan, the White House correspondent, she just came out with a book called Black Women Will Save the World, an anthem. And I love the book, not just because I'm in the
Shameless
book.
plug.
Right. Shout out to April.
Right.
Shout out to April.
Okay.
But I love the book because it has the stories of so many Black women, like our very own Tina Dina Lofton, who used to be the director of our Youth and College Division, Valerie Jarrett, Michelle Obama, Corinne Jean-Pierre. Like, it just tells a story of all these very successful Black women who have been through some things, but how, despite it, we get back up, right? We have resilience. We are running our homes. We're running, our churches. We're running our organizations. We're doing all of these things. And doing it well, but the toll that it takes.
Right.
And so I think that, as a Black woman, raising two young Black women, it's really with an understanding of, we are queens, we are bosses.
For sure.
And at the end of the day, we're going to get it done.
Yeah.
But we have to have self-care as a part of the regiment
It's important,
to
for
really
real.
be
Yeah.
able to continue to do the work.
And then what I add to that too, I took a class at Eastern Michigan. It was, I forget what it was called, but it was about being a Black woman and like Black women in leadership. And we talked a lot about like this superwoman complex that Black women have on, kind of touching on what you have, where like we feel like we have to take everything on. And I feel like I know my self-care is not to where it needs to be at all.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
not there because
We're
I'm
still
putting
trying to figure
everybody
that out.
before myself, right? I used to have like a spa membership, but then I stopped that. I didn't have time to go get massages anymore. So I need to figure out like other ways to do it, but not just on a self-care level. I think being a young woman that's also a leader, it's a whole nother layer of it because people are looking at you not only as being like a woman in leadership, but also being young. They don't really listen because they're like, oh, you haven't really experienced too much. You don't really know. Like, so they try to dismiss the ideas on top of what they were already doing as a woman. But so definitely trying to like make sure. And I think even going back to what I touched on earlier of like always trying to bring in the numbers and the facts because you can't debate the facts. Like
You can't.
it's there.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is. So I feel like if anything, it's kind of prepared me. It's shifted me to make me over prepare for what I need to do.
Okay.
And I always, before I go into stuff, I always kind of have everything thought out about like what I think people are going to react to it. So that way, if they have a dissenting opinion, I have something ready to like back it
prepared.
up. Right.
Yeah.
I come prepared. I come prepared. The other thing too that you didn't touch on that I think is also extremely great that we have at NAACP is our entire C-suite is women of color. And I love that for us.
Yeah.
We are an organization ran by women, okay? And it may not look that way,
No,
but we are.
no.
We are.
Although now he did hire one man,
Oh,
Roger
yes,
Jackson.
that's true.
Jackson, okay.
Roger Jackson, who's the head of our field department. But at the same of the day, women rule the world.
Yeah.
And women rule the NAACP.
Yeah.
Sure. You made me think of something. We partner with a company called Picture Motion, and we host various screenings throughout the year. And we did a screening on Juneteenth of a documentary that was produced by, I think it's called the Spring Hill Company, LeBron James.
We know that.
Did you watch that one with the black women? I'm trying to think of the name of it, but I'm bringing it up because one of the things that came up in that conversation was the topic of a strong black woman in that title, and some of the women who were on that panel was like, I don't want to always have to
carry that
burden.
Yeah.
So just bringing that up as a point, it's a lot of pressure. I was just talking to somebody else the other day, and they were saying on a separate issue, we were talking to some people from the indigenous community, and they were like, well, let's call them and ask them how to solve this problem. I'm like, that's not their responsibility to come up with the solution for these historical problems, right? It's a lot of pressure.
That's actually interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
and picking up from that, after the murder of George Floyd, right? And as all of these companies were looking to try and have these conversations with their, black employees about, realities, and some of those conversations I don't think they were ready for because people came, ready.
Yeah.
But I heard a lot of where, black people who are having a hard time themselves now having to step up and be the teachers of having to explain, and it being a lot, right? Because now while I am grieving, I am, trying to make it through this culture, I now have to help you feel good about yourself or help you to understand what I'm going through. Right. But you need to do the work.
Right.
You need to do the reading. You need to do the work versus me now having to step up and help you understand. But at the same time, I've thought and I've said that if we want to bring about change, sometimes we have to figure out how we can do that, because many times we may be the only black people that they do know.
Yeah. Right.
But we have to do it only if we can, because some of us are at a point where we are on the edge, right? And we can't really have that assignment. And then there's some of us who are ready, set to kind of have those conversations. But you're right. It's kind of like, always trying to be the problem solver, the fixer.
Right.
And sometimes you just want it to get fixed, and not have to be responsible for doing it.
You got something, Carl?
I feel like you got something. No, I mean, although I was just going to say that I agree completely with what everybody's saying on this. I did want to say something in regards to just voting in particular, and like getting people to turn out. I think it's important that we understand what happened in 2020. I feel as if I know everybody understands how impactful it was, but it hasn't received as much attention as I think it still needs to. There was a lot that came up and that surfaced in this country, all across the globe, and the ramifications of it are still being felt. And I just think when it comes to voter turnout in midterm elections, people are still, I think, going through the motion of what happened. And then we had January 6th right after that, right? Like, it was just like one after the other. Both of them were like massive for this country and for the world. Like, democracy is really on the chopping block all around the world right now.
That's right.
And January 6th kind of was the domino that started that. So I just think that we're just still trying to figure out, like, well, what's next? And I think this midterm elections is going to essentially be that. For me, I actually think that people will be in a better place and be ready to be, to be galvanized and impassioned again to come out and vote. I think in 2024, I think that's going to be a very important election, especially because I personally don't think that Biden or Trump is going to run, which means that we could get anybody.
That's an interesting take.
That's an interesting.
That's the
No,
very.
I don't think
that's
they're going
the first
to.
time I've heard that
I don't
take.
think they're going to run.
Right.
I don't think they're going to
interesting.
run. And I mean, there's all kind of reasons. I mean, their age is number one. I mean, at the end of the day, right now with where things are at globally, you have the Russia-Ukraine conflict, you have China doing stuff, you have stuff going on, obviously in Israel. There's so much happening. Global climate change, the effects of it are becoming more and more apparent, even in America. And so it just gets to a point where, do you want to be the president in this country, the leading country in the world, dealing with that at a certain age, or is it better to pass it on to somebody younger? And let's just see what happens. And it may not even be a Republican or Democrat who gets elected. It could be a dark horse. It could just be somebody random who's independent shows up, and people are like, you know what, we're fed up with Republicans and Democrats. We're going to go with you. I'm not saying it's going to be the best choice, but I just feel like where we are right now, because of 2020, January 6th, it just leaves that opportunity open. And it's just something that I think we should just kind of consider. But I do think this election coming up, I don't believe it's going to be what we want it to be. And we're not going to get a blue wave. And all the polling is showing that, especially in regards to the House. And I've already, I work with a lot of national advocates and lobbyists. We just had a big meeting on criminal justice reform bills just a couple of days ago, all the national groups. And everybody's preparing for the House to be taken over by the Republicans, and what's the strategy on public safety and criminal justice bills, because we never got the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed. So that still needs to get done. So, I just think that, we're going to have a lot more fighting to do these next 2 years. And I think the local elections are the ones to really pay attention to, like you said, because at the end of the day, that's going to be the real fight. And I know the Republicans know that, and they are ready, and they're moving. So we just have to be ready to respond, especially after the midterm elections. So I just wanted to put that out there because, I think that's why we're not really seeing as much energy as we did back in 2020. I think people are just kind of still exhausted a bit from all the protesting, but also where are we going now?
There's
what's
so
next?
much uncertainty for sure,
Right.
but there's 16 days left, right? And and I don't know about you, but I've never been asked, I've never been surveyed in terms of my thoughts on the elections. And so, and from the last few years, these polls really have been, I'm not going to curse on you, but they have not been the most accurate. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
So I just think that the president likes to say we can't have a deficit mindset, right? We just have to, and I know here in Grand Rapids, you guys are going to be having the pop-ups. You're going to be, in the streets, at the doors. I know throughout the state of Michigan, there's a large effort that President White, our Michigan State Conference president, shout out to Yvonne White, has underway. And we just have to do because the Republicans taking over anything is not good for Black people, period.
One thing you touched on that I really want to talk about that I think is super important, especially when it comes to elections, is passing the baton on. Because you said you don't think that either of them will do it and they'll pass it on to a young person. As a young person in leadership, I think that the egos of a lot of senior leaders are not there to pass it on. I have been blessed to work with people like the vice chair, President White, Camelia Landrum, all these people who kind of step back and poured into me to be able to take over their positions because they realize that all the seats and the titles and the positions and all that stuff that we have, they're rented, right? Yep. You put it on a resume and that's about it, right? But what's the impact that you're going to leave? And if you don't have that legacy to continue on, you really have nothing. In the time that you were there, you spent it doing nothing. And I'm very hopeful and optimistic that moving forward, some of our politicians will pass that baton on to leaders. But I think a lot of young people are getting burnt out because they're I want to do this, I want to do this. I'm here, I'm ready to do it. But the people who are in the positions aren't stepping back to let those young leaders step up.
Right.
And I think that's where that burnout is coming. And that's where some of those third parties, there's a lot of conversations in the Youth and College Division in 2020 about we don't want to vote Democrat or Republican. We need just a third party in general. We need to make a new party, whatever it is. We need something because we're just not going to vote this way. And there's been a lot of talks about strategies where it's if we come together within the 18 to 25 voting block and we don't vote for either party, we vote for a third party candidate, we could drastically, majorly change the turnout of the election if we all collectively came together and did it.
Hijack
Is
the
it
vote.
possible? I don't know about hijack. That's the other side likes to use that term. I do not want to be associated with that one. But I do think that if we organize our power and we come together collectively, we definitely can shift it and change a lot. So
for sure. I brought it up. I found the name of the documentary that I was speaking about. It's called Recipe for Change, Amplifying Black Women. Mary J. Blige, Saweetie, Taretha Brown. A lot of powerful people on that one. So y'all check that out.
Gotta check that out.
Yep.
Okay. No, yeah. Just going back to the Amplifying Black Women theme. I do want to touch on. I don't know if you guys saw the movie. The woman you guys saw the Woman King, right? Did you, Kyra?
I haven't seen it.
3 times already.
3 times is crazy.
I cannot tell you the last movie I watched.
Okay, that's
I
valid.
just told you I don't have time for myself. When was I supposed to go to the movie theater?
That's valid.
I haven't seen it. Have you seen it, Carl?
No, I have not. I'm going to though. Trust me.
Right, I'm gonna go after this. I feel pressured. Like,
Yes. You guys got to see it for real because it is. It really is impactful. I saw a part of it. Not that I like saw in the movies. I did like a 1, 2, 3 movie type of thing.
What is a 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, you gotta come on. We all ain't hip to that lingo.
What is that?
We're not gonna mess up any of our sponsors up. But so 1, 2, 3 movie. Yeah, it's like a
it's
website. Like you just go and like.
Oh, that's
What?
the stuff that.
it's cost efficient.
Pirating.
Right. Yeah, cost efficient.
Instead of the man outside of Walmart with the DVDs,
Yeah.
it's a website
It's the
now.
new
Right.
wave.
Yeah,
The 1, 2, 3
yeah.
is the new DVD.
Like we
They
said.
change the
though.
website every other day when they get caught.
Exactly.
They really-
Like
Exactly.
.ab, .cd. You be like, can you just keep it? .co.
Now, for someone who doesn't get to the movies much, you seem to know a lot about that.
College. I
Cost
was a college
efficient.
student.
Cost
efficient.
efficient. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, I do advise you guys to see it because it was impactful, honestly. I don't know if you want to go ahead and touch about like, what you thought about the movie as well and what really stood out to you.
Well, I would just say that, Viola Davis is a boss.
She's amazing.
And Gina Prince Bythewood, one of the directors, is amazing. And for me, I think knowing that now, of course, it's a movie.
Right.
But the fact that there is a piece of historic data of there was this, group of women that protected their nation and then, building out into the movie, that was great.
Yeah.
But the acting was incredible. But I think just the story of these strong Black women
There we go with that title.
Yeah.
who were, responsible for protecting their kingdom and the voice to kind of help the king understand that the way he was going in terms of being part of the slave trade
Yeah.
was not how it should be and that they should be better than that. And then just to see, the mentorship of the younger Black female warriors. It was, it was just, it was just awesome. It was just awesome. And we were in LA. We were for, it wasn't the Image Awards, but we have something called the Entertainment Advisory Council. And so we have to be in LA for meetings with industry leaders. And so Robin Harrison, shout out to Robin, who's the head of our Hollywood Bureau, one of the leaders in our Hollywood Bureau, arranged for us to have a private screening before it came out.
Gotcha.
So that was the first time I saw it. Then I went to see it with my 26-year-old daughter, and then I went to see it with my husband. And so finally, 2 times I paid, 1 time was free.
Okay.
So
Cost efficient as well, I see. Okay.
So when was the first time you saw it? You saw it a while back then.
So it was maybe a week or 2 before it came out on the screen.
Gotcha.
But we got to also talk about the new movie Till.
Oh, right.
We got to talk about that too
Right,
before
right.
we leave.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully we can do a screening of that with our partners at Studio Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're potentially trying
So
to
which one, Till?
Till.
So Till, I think, comes out, I want to say October 28th, but shout out Tuesday, our good friend Nicholas Wiggins.
Oh, okay.
Nicholas Wiggins was a youth board member. He worked for the National Association, and now he is on our foundation board, and he is senior advisor to me as the chair of the Image Awards Committee, and he is a partner in Values Partners. And so they are having a national Zoom town hall on Tuesday with, I'll be on it, which I'm very excited about, with the cast and crew of Till talking about the movie.
Oh, cool.
And because it has so much to do with the NAACP's involvement in Emmett Till's.
All right, we're back. Yeah, just talking about film right now. We've been partnering with a company called Picture Motion. So we partnered with them on hosting, I think we did about 4 screenings now.
Yeah.
The first one was the Obama documentary.
Okay.
And then we did one for the Summer of Soul.
Summer of Soul.
I hope you all Harlem.
That was my
the Harlem Renaissance Festival. That was amazing. And then the last one was the Recipe for Change, Amplifying Black Women. So shout out to Picture Motion.
Well, gotta do the Till movie because it shows the history. You know, now watching it with Ms. Roxborough and Chairman Russell was really a trip because they knew everybody in the movie. You know, they knew the characters in the movie.
Right.
Now, of course, you know, we've been blessed to know Mrs. Evers. You know,
Yes.
We've been blessed to kind of, but to see her character depicted in this movie and the role that she played in it was just like wow. But they knew the president of the branch, and you know, hearing them going to dinner afterwards and talking about these individuals. That's why you know I'm privileged to have this role in the NAACP, and we are all privileged with the seats that we hold. Because when you hear about back in the day, and to think that, you know, we have been entrusted with the mantles that we have, and that someday, if we do it right, people will be talking about the role that we've played. It's just really just like
legacy, right?
Mind blowing.
And that goes back to passing down the baton, to be honest. To be honest.
We had the privilege of meeting Medgar Evers' daughter a few years ago. She came. Rena Evers.
Yeah, Rena, of course.
Yep. And then we also visited the home of Medgar Evers. And
you went to Jackson?
We were in Jackson probably about 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. You could just feel that it was a certain energy there, right?
Yeah. It makes kind of what we do really become even more vivid in terms of its importance. Because sometimes, I mean, if we're going to be honest, sometimes it's just like, you know.
Yeah.
But when you get these moments, it really helps you to it like shakes you into like, this is for real. Like this is not what average everyday people do.
Right.
You know, in their lives.
Transactional, right?
Yeah.
Most people's work is just transactional. They go home and leave it on the table.
Right.
Like this work we do is it really impacts people's everyday lives. While we talk about Jackson, I thought it was good to bring up at least, what do you all, I'm not a super football guy, but Deion Sanders and Jackson State University. How can we not bring that up? Deion is like.
He is the swag.
The swag. I am swag.
That boy himself. That's fast.
No, I think Deion is just really changing the whole landscape. I mean, he could have went anywhere, right?
He could have.
But to bring his talents to Jackson.
Well, my husband would say, well, no, he really couldn't have gone anywhere because where he wanted to go initially, they didn't give him an opportunity. What was the school? The PWI he was.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. But, you know, now we should just shout out to President Derek Johnson.
Yes.
You know, he lives in Jackson.
Yes.
And he is a big, now, although he's a Tougaloo graduate, he is very much involved in Jackson State and has met, Coach Prime.
Coach Prime.
Yeah.
But I just think he has done so much for HBCU football.
Yes.
You know, whatever his motivations may be, already you can see they have a new football field, the money that's coming into them, and the head of the SWAC who said that he's not just doing it for Jackson. The amount of money that they've been able to get into that conference has increased beyond what they could have ever imagined. And so, you know, I am not a Dallas Cowboy fan. I am a New York Jets fan.
Okay, here we go.
So, you know, but you got to give credit where credit is due, and I am big time Coach Prime.
Go Coach Prime for sure. Yeah, we love Prime and the work he's doing there. Shout out to Deion and the whole team there.
That's facts.
What I will say to that is I think like we're seeing a shift culturally where like the shift in the Black community is going back to HBCUs, right? Like I think in the 90s there was this huge push HBCUs. You go back and rewatch old TV shows like Living Single, like Queen Latifah's always wearing some type of HBCU hoodie.
Right.
And I think we shifted away from that, right?
We did.
But I think now, especially since 2020, I think with George Floyd and everything else, like not only did it kind of cause a ripple effect for a lot of other things, but I think we're kind of seeing it play out right before our eyes of like this shift back to where kind of like the Black community was back in the 90s, and like in terms of like being close knit and going back to our community, like helping each other, being back in HBCUs, building ourselves up. Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. Love to see it.
Now I gotta be the advocate, right? And throw this out too. So I have, some people have expressed concerns about, obviously we want to support HBCUs, but some have said the quality of education is not always as up to par with some. I didn't say that. I'm just sharing.
That's what they.
The
I've
feedback
heard that as well.
that I've heard.
I've heard that as well.
All right. Well, let me just say, I did not go to an HBCU because being in New York back in the time when I was going to school, that wasn't something that I knew about. My family was a part of, but I would say that my family, my husband, his parents went to North Carolina A&T, graduated in like 1953. He's a former congressman. My husband graduated from there. My two girls, my oldest daughter graduated there from their engineering department. My younger daughter is a senior there, also studying engineering. And so shout out to A&T. And what I will say is that the education that they have received is amazing. I mean, first off, A&T is the #1 producer of black engineers. So whether you're talking about A&T or Howard or Spelman or Morehouse or Dillard, at the end of the day, when you are in school, you don't have to worry about whether or not you are being, discriminated against because of your if you're not doing well in school, it's because you have not done what you need to do, right? And maybe you need to get help, extra assistance. But I think that the whole idea of white ice is colder, we can't buy into that. And our schools are important now. They need more resources, sure. They need more resources, but at the end of the day, I think the education, look at Vice President Kamala Harris, right?
Where did she go to school?
Howard,
HU,
Mecca.
right? The Mecca. So at the end of the day, what we know is that HBCU graduates are on par, more than competent, more than competitive, and if anything, the focus on HBCUs are only illustrating the excellence, the black excellence.
Yes.
And let me just say, there are a number of white people that are on these campuses.
That's what I'm saying. I've been seeing that as well. Yeah.
My best friend went to FAMU, and I remember he used to post like on Instagram, and it was like their set Fridays or whatever they called it. And I saw white people, and I was like,
what is going on?
But I guess it's because like in Florida, something with the tuition like it's cheaper, and I was like, white people at HBCU,
AT has a bunch. They have a golf. They're golf. Now, of course, they have what is his name? Team Swish.
I know who you're talking about, the basketball player.
J.R. Smith?
J.R. Smith.
Yeah.
He's on there.
He's like a professional golfer now or something.
Well, no, he went back to school.
He did go back to school,
He's at A&T and part of their...
That's actually
J.R. Smith,
I didn't know that.
Part of their... but their golf program has their baseball program, their football... I mean, they're doing it. There are white folks all over A&T's campus. And believe me, and that's a bit of a controversial aspect for some of the alumni and students because this is supposed to be for us. But, we can't have nothing to ourselves.
No, I mean, the culture is
right.
It's addictive, I guess, at this point, right? You got something, Carlton?
I was just going to say, I attended Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia, but I also would frequent the AUC.
Yeah.
And the Morehouse guys would always come on our campus, to engage with, the girls on our campus. So we'd be like, what? Okay. But yeah, we would go to the AUC because being at a school like Emory University, predominantly white, it was a different experience to be at a predominantly black school, different, just the whole feel. And it was actually a breath of relief, a sigh of relief to be on the campus, especially I think it was Vending Thursdays, I think it was, when all of the fraternities and sororities come out and they just start doing their line dancing. You have all the vendors out and they're just selling. It's just so beautiful just to see the diversity of black.
Yeah.
The stroll. When they be doing the strolling. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was so beautiful.
Right. Right. Give us some grace, huh?
We're a little removed, right?
Oh, right.
I think that's a perfect transition, though. And as we talk about kind of the HBCU to transition into, I think it's important we at least address the topic of our brother Kanye West, or Ye, in his recent.
This is truly like the Breakfast Club.
It is.
It really
Yep.
is. Okay.
It's a different level, though, right? NAACP.
No, right.
What do we
Voting
think?
Twist.
Yeah. What do how do we feel about his recent, and how does that play a role on, we're really
That's the White Lives Matter shirt.
Yep, the White Lives
controversy.
Matter shirt and everything else with that.
Everything else, right?
Yeah.
That comes with.
What's your thoughts? Go ahead, bro.
I'll say this. Obviously, we were talking about it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people look up to Kanye West, because of what he's done in the past. He is a genius, but he's a musical genius, But then when Kanye becomes Kanye, his ego is like, no, I'm a genius.
Yay.
Right. But another thing too is, a lot of times the things that he says, he doesn't understand the consequences that come with it.
Right.
He doesn't necessarily, he just talks because he's Ye, he doesn't really believe in him being represented for what he's saying type of thing. But us, you know what I'm saying? We are like, hey,
You got
in the real world, like that's not, that can't really fly. But I mean, if you guys want to go ahead and chime in as well on your thoughts as well.
I agree to an extent, but I feel like Kanye does know what he's doing. I think he does it to get a reaction of people, and he knows what the reaction is going to be. Do I think that Kanye really think that white lives, yeah. So I think he did that, right, to get a reaction out of people because, like, Kanye is Kanye.
Did he want that reaction?
right.
I think Kanye believes that any publicity is good publicity.
Most people say
and
that.
I think that keeping his name relevant, I think it kind of just goes on. Who knows? Maybe in a few months down the line, he's gonna roll something out, and we'll be like, "This is what happened," right? Like right now, we just kind of gotta wait and see it play out. But I think he knows exactly what he's doing. Personally, I really don't give him attention because I know that's what he wants, and the less that you feed into it, the less craziness that we get.
Right.
So I just really don't. I don't engage.
Yeah, no.
It's kind of like it's not. This man is posting his text messages and all this other stuff
Right.
with Chris.
Yeah,
and
yeah, all
he's
the
texting
nonsense
Travis.
as
You're not
well.
texting me back anymore. Like you
Yeah,
sound like
right.
a heartbroken girlfriend. Please, like
What are you doing?
we need to take away his Instagram. That's what we really need to do.
They
Like,
they did, didn't they?
A few times.
They took the
the
Drink
Twitter.
Champs interview down.
Yeah.
So
They didn't want that heat. They weren't expecting that.
At all.
Well, I just think mental health is real.
Right,
Mental health is
right.
real. And it's really unfortunate for someone who has a platform like he has to do and say some of these things because there is an impact. Now, supposedly, allegedly, he's part of some conservative radio or some sort of conservative enterprise. And so, but if that's where he wants to be, that's where he can be.
right.
But I think we need to follow and get advice from people who know what they're talking about.
Exactly.
People who are knowledgeable, educated, who are about advancing our folks. Now, I don't know if he's a billionaire yet or not or whatever, but at the end of the day, his reality is different from everyday people of color.
Yeah.
And he can say these things. Now, his coins might be impacted a bit because he's fighting with Adidas and he's fighting with
I think they said Chase. He got $150 million in Chase.
Yeah,
They
and
told
they
him to
said-
take his money out the bank.
right.
I think it's fighting with Balenciaga too. They just like cut ties with him as well. So yeah.
Because at the end of the day, this ain't good business.
No,
Like what he
no.
doing,
Yeah.
that ain't
No.
good business because most black people aren't thinking like that. And if they want to be operating in our community, they need to be aligned with people who are really sort of speaking to the issues that most black Americans or globally are on. And so, just wish him luck.
Right.
But mental health is real.
It
and
is.
I don't know that he's been the same since he lost his mother.
That's what everybody said. Yeah.
And
Ever
that
since.
is real.
True, though, I believe.
But while I feel like that's true, and I think mental health is very top. I think it also because he is in a different tax bracket and he doesn't really associate with the people. Like I think we also have to recognize that like it's like the stuff that he's doing is dangerous for our young people. Like, you know how many young people look up
We
to him?
follow
and
this guy.
Like, they idolize this man. And it's like us around the table, we're like, oh, okay, it's nonsense. We're not going to listen to it. But
Right.
my 17-year-old brother, he's not thinking that same thought. So then I have to go beat him in his head. And it's like, if you no, this is not what we're about to do.
Kanye.
Right. But it's like there's kids and people who don't have that, and they think they can go out here and do the same thing as Kanye.
Oh, yeah.
And then when they go do it, it's a problem when I do it, right? It's cool when you do it. It's a problem when I do it, right?
And then they call in the NAACP for help.
There you go.
Hello.
That part.
Hello.
I was also gonna throw in there that I think that this kind of speaks to what's going on right now.
Yeah.
You know, there's been a lot of conversation around narrative, who controls the narrative, who doesn't, and also when it comes to misinformation, right? Like that's been a huge issue. The whole Trump administration, all those 4 years was just constant, nonstop misinformation, gaslighting, bam, bam, bam. Like I said, we're still kind of coming out of that trauma, right?
No, literally.
Trying to figure out what are we going to do now. And I think that what Kanye is doing is essentially continuing with what Trump did. He's throwing out all these gaslights, right? It's not just the White Lives Matter.
Homeboy.
It's
No, that is.
But the thing is, I think he saw what Trump did, and he was like, it worked for him. I'm Kanye, I'm Ye, so it's gonna work for me, and I can probably get more black people than he did,
Exactly.
right? And that goes back to what you're saying, because I don't think Ye is looking at, you know, people like us to be his audience. He already got. I don't know about you. He ain't got me. He never had me. I like his beats, but I've never been a fan of his rapping. I'm just gonna be straight up. I'm still big on Tupac and Biggie, man.
You're right, huh?
Like I said, I like the beats. To me, he's not the best lyricist, so he doesn't grab my my heartstrings with his words. So that's why when he says stuff, it just bounces off of me. But there are a lot of other people though, even my age, like you said, like college dropout, like they still rock that, even with everything he's done, and they're going to continue to rock it. And he knows he has that, right? And so he's using this for his own platform. I don't know if you all noticed when he did the Drink Champs. You saw the hat he was wearing?
It said 2024.
Oh, okay. Do you remember what Kanye said?
He said he was going to run.
Okay.
And that's the other problem, going back to don't just be out here voting for somebody because they're
Comes
black.
back to voting.
They are not supporting us.
Back to voting.
It goes back to what we started.
Back to voting.
All what do they say? All kinfolk ain't.
All kinfolk ain't kinfolk.
I said it backwards. Let's recognize our good brother President Jackson and our brother Christopher Norford, who just stepped into the show. Welcome, guys.
Mike, or what's going on?
You got some words for us, or you just vibing right now?
I want to properly greet my queens here.
Yes.
Kyra, amazing young leader.
Yes.
And of course, our vice chair, amazing, phenomenal. So
Thank you, and congratulations on a great Freedom
I'm gonna
Fund.
say
56. Give us a quick feedback on the Freedom Fund yesterday, man. Real quick, man. The 56.
Come on.
Okay, if you're forcing me to do that, I can, because I can do that. Trying to catch my breath here. I thought it was simply amazing. I thought it was simply amazing and magical, and the energy in the room, to be able to share space with so many beautiful souls was absolutely amazing. And every year I was coming down on the elevator and some folks were saying, well, what's happening? And I said, well, the NAACP is in the house tonight. Right. And we're doing the Freedom Fund. And I said, I'll be glad when it's over. Right. And then I had to laugh, and I said, well, actually, every time it's over, I'm like, I just want it to last a little longer. So that's kind of how I felt. But I think it was very powerful and very timely. And so it's and as Madam Vice Chair said, we got a lot of work to do.
We do. We've been talking
and we're doing it.
We've been talking about a lot of the work today. It's funny you said that when you're at the JW and they say, what's happening? They really said, why are all these black people at the JW?
Okay. So you don't open the door. And so why all these Negroes in here? Okay. Let's be,
No, dope.
That's good. And you know the thing is, I was talking to some folks a while ago, and I said, we don't need allies. We need co-conspirators.
For sure.
So I need you to be right here with me.
That's right. That's right.
If I'm getting locked up, you need to be. I'm going with you, bro.
That's right.
I'm going with you. And that's what we need. We need co-conspirators. It's time out for allies and all of these niceties. And one thing I reflect on, and that was a part of my remarks last night that I did not get to say. I consider him one of the godfathers in this movement, Reverend Dr. William or Wendell Anthony.
Yes.
Who's the president of the Detroit
For sure.
branch
And a member of the national board.
and the
Yep.
national
And a member of the
board.
national board.
And he told me, and I consider him a mentor. He told me a long time ago and told us when we were at a state conference meeting, he said, there is enough hell out here for all of us not to be competing against each other. And he said, you just pick your small piece of hell that you want to fight for, and we can all come together and converge and change this thing.
That's right.
For sure.
That's my.
Thanks, Press. Thanks for sharing a
Couple
few
seconds.
words.
Reverend Anthony is great. Every time he gives a charge, he will take you to church, both literally and figuratively.
For sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
'Cause every time I hear him speak, I feel like I have a renewed energy.
It's powerful.
Go for
Sure.
it. Yeah.
So, and on the Say Something show, I want to circle back and really highlight some of the key issues that we want to focus on. I think environmental justice is definitely one of our key areas of advocacy, public safety reform, this health, the whole nine. But we like to have a little fun too, though.
Yeah.
So
Talk.
we were just talking music a little bit. Let's maybe jump into like, what's your playlist looking like right now? And that's like what you listening to right now, man?
Playlist. I really gotta look.
I can learn a lot. I'm gonna learn a lot about you by your playlist.
Yeah, that's facts. So
What you listen to, man? It's been some recent drops.
Don't
forget
I
you
use
gotta do
Spotify.
you gotta do King Breezy.
Right, you're right. You're right. Hold me
Shout out to
accountable. I
King
like
Breezy
that. Right.
243.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Definitely still bumping King Breezy 243. You know what I'm saying? Right now, not a whole lot. I do still, dabble in the Afro beats. You feel me?
For sure.
That Burna Boy was
Burna
hot.
Boy,
Was
he got a new
crazy.
project?
Nah, well, it was a new word project.
Okay.
What's it called? Love the Mini.
Okay.
Been circling that a few times, man. So he's the truth for real.
I like Burna Boy.
Yeah, he's really the truth, man. When it comes to
That last, right?
Yes, that's
that
all that
last
plays.
last.
All over the radio.
Yeah, you know what I'm
What?
saying?
Yeah. I got out the car one day, and then I got back in the car like 6 hours later, and the
And it's the same
song.
song was playing. No,
It's
he's the truth.
energizing.
Yeah.
I think he's bridging that gap, honestly. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to, African and African Americans type of thing. And so that's why I really love him for real.
Dope.
What about
Dope.
you?
I don't know, man. What I've been listening to lately? I think Lil Baby just dropped a project.
Baby.
I haven't been able to pour into that yet.
I ain't tap in, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, you late too. You're supposed to be on that.
I ain't
man.
tap in yet, man. Yeah.
I think the last project, Nav had a new project that was pretty cool.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I haven't really, nothing really recently has really like grasped my attention. Like,
I'm circling back to just music that what I'm saying, really like I resonate with type of thing. I was
sure.
listening to College Dropout. I'm not gonna lie. Sorry.
we still listen to
Right,
you.
right.
Yay, Yeezy, whatever
I
you
was
want to
listening
call it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
What
yeah.
y'all, what you ladies listen to these days?
So, my husband tells me that I need to stay within the genre for which we sort of grew up. But I will say that I do listen to some of the more recent stuff because I do, have two girls, 26
sure.
and 21. But I am Any for Life. Saw them 3 times this year in concert.
Okay.
But I work out pretty much daily, and generally my workout is Mary J. Blige. I have Beyonce.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lopez.
So you keep it real classic. Jennifer Lopez, that's the real New Yorker in you right there.
Right. Okay.
So I don't. That's kind of what I am dealing with most days when I'm like working out.
Okay.
Shout out Mary J. You can't go wrong with Mary J.
Never.
Man.
Really never. Right. I think they was playing it at Ambiance last night too.
Yeah, we started to vibe a little bit too. Yeah, shout out to Ambiance.
Right.
Kyra, what you listen to?
I am very much a lover girl, so I strictly stick to R&B.
Okay, R&B vibes.
I might throw a little Detroit rap in there here and now.
Let's go.
But I am a huge Alicia Keys fan. Ever since I went to her concert back in September, I've been listening to her nonstop.
Where'd you see Alicia Keys at?
Down in Dallas.
Oh,
Sweet.
wow.
Yeah,
That's dope.
yeah.
Sweet.
It was great.
That's tough.
And then I listened to some new R&B that dropped, a little Apple Music curated playlist just to branch out a little bit. I'm a huge like 90s, early 2000s. But I was like, you know what? Maybe I should try something new.
That's the
So
R&B era.
I listened to that R&B. There's this song by somebody named Jesse Reyes. I really like that one.
I think
that
I
just
know the
dropped.
song you're
So
talking about.
it was good. I like it. I added it to my library. So maybe I'll put it in rotation with Alicia. We'll see.
Yeah, right.
See
It's
if she
hard
can
to
work
compete
okay.
with Alicia Keys.
Yeah.
She like plays the piano and she like Stevie Wonder.
No, she's super talented for real.
Yeah.
That is true. How about you, Carlton?
Carlton, what's up, bro?
Right,
What you
right.
doing? You out of Chicago, man. Let us know what they listen to in the shot.
Other than
Oh
Kelly.
man.
Other than
Little
Common.
Dirt.
Other than Colin.
Oh, and Ye?
And Kelly.
Yeah, don't forget, Chi-Town is his
They
town.
definitely listen to Robert still out there.
Oh yeah.
He's been canceled.
No, not a. Mm-mm.
Oh yeah, no, they still listen to R. Kelly. They're rocking R. Kelly all the time. out
Listen to
there.
Robert Kelly.
They still listen to
Oh yeah,
Robert.
big time, big time.
I
Oh
have
yeah.
canceled Robert. And
They
it's
still
listen
so
to
sick
Robert
because
Kelly.
I can't step
Yeah.
in the name of love no more.
Uh-huh.
I can't watch the In the Closet videos. I can't nothing.
No, I mean, no,
Starting
because
to-
if I'm at a family reunion, that comes up, I'm getting
I'm
on
going
the
Yeah.
exactly. Getting up, and I'm like, no, y'all gotta cut it.
Yeah, we're not doing
They did
that.
that at
for
convention.
real.
They played an R. Kelly song at convention. Everybody was like, mm-mm.
Nah.
That ain't what we do.
Wow.
They still,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm out of
That's his town. Oh yeah, Chicago is his town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chicago is his home.
That's the
So,
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Like
hard.
They separate the
Ye,
art. Look,
both
just
of
like
them.
It's
Kanye, they're
hard.
separating the artist
Yeah, from the
artist.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah, they
Yo.
love the music, and so yeah. I mean, me personally, I actually don't have a playlist that I listen to on the regular.
Okay.
I just anytime I turn on the radio, I just go to like whatever station is popping, and they always have something on there with some new cats.
Yeah.
Rapping, and I'm like, okay, I'm
I
starting
think
to
I
date
like this one.
myself. There was a time when I could actually keep up with the music, especially back, the down south bouncy bounce back in the day.
Right,
Would
right.
back that thing up and juvenile. And, like, now I feel like I'm lost. Like, then I don't even understand what rappers are saying. They're like, yeah. And,
mumble
then
rap.
the name's Fetty Wap, and, like, there's all these weird names now. So I just have a hard time keeping up. And everybody's little.
Yeah.
Like Lil Baby, Lil Wheezy, Lil. Everybody's little. So if I hear something on the radio, I'm like, all right, I'm just trying to keep up with the times so that I can at least hear the
But you know
beat.
who I saw? Maybe it was a week ago. Maybe a week ago. I was at NASCAR in Charlotte, and Nelly
Nelly
was
is something.
performing.
I think I saw that
And
on
I
social
was
media or
like,
something.
Nelly,
Yeah.
but then but he has this whole country angle.
He do.
Yeah,
he
Nelly
does.
Well,
Nelly-
Country
He does.
grammar.
Grammar,
Yeah,
Country
right.
Grammar did bridge
For
again.
real.
And they were feeling him. They
Yeah.
were feeling him. It was really good to see him. It's like, okay, I see you, Nelly.
Nelly's still killing
Never
it.
changing it for real. That's
Sure, for
smooth.
sure.
That's smooth. I think we're actually going to our time, to be honest.
Let's go. Let's jump on. Let's get back on now.
Say something at the board meeting.
We still going. Yep. We still going. All right, Kyra. Now you talking, Kyra. Let's go. Let's go. I think we back. Are we live?
Yeah, we love.
We live. Okay. All right. So I heard somebody say Image Award.
We can say something.
Somebody said Image Awards.
I think we need to be in California, Karen.
Let's start off small. Let's start off at a state.
Right,
We gotta get the regular schedule up first.
Yeah. No,
All
but
right,
definitely,
talk that talk.
if we can, we'd love to, visit California. We had the privilege of going out to San Diego earlier this year, connecting with President Francine Maxwell and others from the local branch there, learning a lot about their surveillance technology and really helped us come back here and kind of put the finishing touches on the policy that we just revised on January 4th. So
And congratulations on that. That was
Thank you.
that was big. That this is power.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. For sure. Well, we want to make sure that we respect the time. Obviously, it's been a great episode. 3 is Say Something Show. Let's go ahead and we want to present you all with some gifts, and then we want to do do closing comments for everyone. So
right now we do have the from our what was it 2019? Yes,
it was 2019
anniversary, which was all really designed by me, Kareem, and Sunny Ski Jameson.
Shout out to Sunny Ski.
Yeah, shout out to Sunny Ski. You feel me?
So the song that you hear on the intro of the Say Something Show is created by our brother Sunny Ski. And that was really the inspiration to the show in a way.
Yes.
When we heard that song, it was just so powerful, and we like the Say Something Show.
Say Something Show, right?
Yeah.
You know, say something. When you see something wrong, you gotta say something.
Speak up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so we do want to bear you with these.
Youth council leader for sure.
Yes, for sure.
Hold it up, man. Let's
Right,
show the shirt and let's present our guests.
So we do have these for you guys. I don't know. This is a small. I don't know what.
We'll get you the right.
Right,
You know.
we'll get you the right size
Okay.
as well.
And that picture, I believe, on the front of the shirt is from the first President Jackson. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that picture is from the first Michigan State.
It's from the first chartering executive committee members and officers of the Grand Rapids branch.
Oh, wow.
So that was from that picture is from 1919. Yo.
That's crazy.
The original members of this branch.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So we want to make sure that you all leave with some gifts.
Thank you.
And we got something else for you as well.
Also, in partnership with Ineffable.
Shout out to our brothers Atai, Obande, John Hendershot.
Yes.
Oh, those are the ones be hooking you up.
Yeah, we got the hookup.
Right. Yeah, we got the hookup.
We got the plug.
We also, this was also within our
100th
100th
anniversary.
anniversary. And so we want to give this to you.
Okay. Represented.
Yeah, President Jackson got them on right
Oh,
now.
look at
They
it.
real nifty, real nice. They fit nice, man.
Yeah.
I feel you. Also designed with
With our youth council members, yeah.
Yep. And so
I'm gonna give these to President Johnson. If
That'd
that's
be
okay.
great.
I'm gonna
That'd be
tell him
great.
that this is from you guys.
Yeah.
Yes,
We're going to give you a shirt to bring to him as
We're gonna
well.
wear these at the board meeting in February.
For sure. For sure.
And so now that the time is coming to closing, do you guys have any closing remarks? for
Yeah, I
episode
think I'd
3?
like to just kind of close on like, what are our like key issues, right? I kind of hinted to it. Environmental justice and climate change is like at the top of our list for sure locally. Right here in Grand Rapids, we have lead levels even higher than some areas of Flint. There was just a report produced a couple weeks ago where it says Detroit is the worst city in America for people with asthma. Obviously, Detroit is the blackest city in America as well, so I think that speaks volumes. I think obviously abortion rights are at the top of the list. Public safety reform. We see a lot of talk about this whole defunding, funding police. It's a lot of jargon there. So I think let's kind of just close out there about like what are our key priority issues leading into the election and moving forward.
Well, I would just say that at the end of the day, none of these issues are going to get addressed if we don't have the right people in office. So it all goes back to voting.
Yeah.
And we have 16 days. And here in Michigan, you guys have an opportunity to make history with the election of the first Black woman to the U.S. Supreme Court, Kyra Harris Bolden. I don't know the woman, but from what I've read about her, she is the real deal.
Yeah.
And there are so many issues that will be coming before your Supreme Court for which we need people.
Pull your mic a little closer.
For which we need people who understand our community weighing in on these issues. And so whether it's proposal 2 is on voting rights, proposal 3 is on reproductive, there is a lot at stake. And, there's a litany of issues, but at the end of the day, we have to have the right people at the table advocating on our behalf
Right.
and legislating on our behalf. And so, we got to get out and do what we need to do. And what is the theme? Together, power, vote.
Together, power, vote. Okay, let's go.
Amazing. Anything from you, Kyra?
Yeah, just really quick. I'm personally a huge fan of Kyra Harris Bolden. No bias for the namesake, but she actually is in our state house now. And has been doing some great work. We worked with her on some legislation around policing reform, actually. So
Great.
That was my first introduction to her. But I think my biggest priorities, especially in Michigan, are looking more towards women's rights, especially with abortion on the ballot, things like that. Black political power, not just voting rights, but getting more young Black people involved in the political process. And then education is always really high.
Education, come on.
Yeah. I think critical race theory is still under attack. We have our State Board of Elections is up right now. Dr. Pamela Pugh, who also serves as our education chair for the state conference, is on the ballot for her race. So making sure that we keep our advocate in there, because that's a very person that's directly working with us for us on the State Board of Education, and making sure that the young people, especially young people in the Black and brown communities, are getting the education that they need to get to be as successful and produce that Black excellence. And whether they decide to go to HBCU or PWI is up to them.
Right,
but we need to get them there to make that decision.
Yes,
So.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure. Carlton, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, Carlton. Go ahead. Sorry.
For me, it's really not about any particular issue. I'm really concerned about the messaging and narrative. I know that New York, for instance, I just found out that the governor's race there is getting really close, which was not expected.
My gosh.
I definitely didn't think that was going to
back
happen.
home.
I didn't even know who the Republican candidate was, because usually that's not even an issue.
That's
Like the primary is really where,
Yep.
the real election happens, but it seems like that's not happening this year. And I was reading an article earlier today where it was talking about how the Republicans are starting to make a lot of gains in a lot of these races across the country, if it's gubernatorial or if it's the national, mainly because they changed their messaging to focus more on crime. That's really, they're just really honing in on it. And even the ads here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, that are constantly going on, saying, oh, defunder this, or they don't support having safe communities here. And they're doing it, and it looks like it's catching on, which is surprising. Like I said, New York is out of all the states, I would never think that would be one.
Crime in the economy.
And sorry, the economy, right? That's the other right. You're right, and the economy, and that goes back to what you were saying earlier about the price of food. I mean, gas as well, because of what OPEC Plus has done. And so it's just, I'm worried about the messaging and how Democrats in particular are going to try to counter it, if they're going to do it effectively, because like you said, it's only 16 more days. That's not a lot of time, and if they're dominating the messaging now, they're going to continue to dominate unless there's something that's pushing back that's solid. So I'm just kind of waiting to see, okay, what is it going to be? Because one thing to me, I do believe that 2020, the messaging that the young people used to talk about really complex concepts like qualified immunity. I'm sorry, I'm an attorney. I've worked on policing reform for a long time. And even as an attorney, that is a very complex concept to understand. But for some reason, they were able to message it in a way that the masses understood it enough that they were like, we don't want it, right? Being able to do that, the Democrats have to figure out, how do we take from that 2020, what happened, and utilize it, right, to bring people together and, pass the baton. And it's just, I'm just kind of waiting, when is that going to happen? So 16 days, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Just keeping it short and simple. These midterms are just important as, presidential. So please do not say that your vote doesn't count.
Right.
Also, educate yourselves on these ballots, because a lot of people do just mindlessly vote for the Black candidate,
right,
or anything like that. And so please do educate yourselves when it comes to these things. And
get out to vote November 8th.
Yes.
7 to 7.
All right, y'all. Well, I think unless our other guests have any closing comments, I think episode 3 of the Say Something show is a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Yeah.
It's a wrap.
So,
Yes.
round of applause.
Thank you guys
Thank you so much,
Appreciate
Kyra,
it.
Karen, for joining the show.